Using a teleprompter can massively cut down your recording time. I'm going to go through if you even need a teleprompter, which one you should get, and how to use it correctly. The reason we're going to go through those three things is that number one, many people actually don't need a teleprompter. Number two is that many people end up choosing the wrong kind of teleprompter, which creates the opposite effect of why you should get one in the first place. And finally, because many people use a teleprompter wrong and it ends up not helping their audience. So to start off, the kind of lens we're looking through here is that everything in my setup serves the goal of making it easy for me to record. I tell my team that when I want to record a YouTube video, I basically want to be able to sit down, hit record, and just go. And in my business, I've helped over 10,000 creators launch their own businesses through my Software Heights platform. And I can tell you that the creators who are most successful are the ones who find out ways to remove friction so that they can move forward. Now for you, there's a chance that friction could be that you need a teleprompter to help you be able to get these videos done more quickly. That friction could also be that you're stuck watching YouTube videos all day about if you should get a teleprompter or not. If that's the case, then there's two choices. One is you find out you don't need one and you can continue on. Or two, if after watching this video, you feel that it really will benefit you, then you should probably go out and get one. Now, real quick, maybe this is even going to hurt my YouTube watch time, but in the interest of helping you out the most, if it turns out that you really don't need a teleprompter, I don't want to waste your time. When I say somebody that doesn't need a teleprompter, and basically somebody who would maybe make the mistake of getting a teleprompter, is the kind of creator who expects that they are going to create this content that people will enjoy and that it's all going to be 100% scripted. I can tell you that I've spoken with a bunch of YouTubers, and in my small journey on YouTube myself, I found that scripting all of your content just does not work. That is not the best way to connect with your audience. You've probably heard, or if you haven't, that what works well on YouTube is acting like you're talking to a friend. So when you've got this scripted thing that you're reading off, you're probably not like the most professional actor to pretend like that's working well. And so it would probably come across a lot more natural if you were able to just kind of speak your mind. The way that you can improve that and do better at that is learning how to get those ideas out more quickly and with better emphasis on the right things, not through reading it off a teleprompter like a robot. And I'll add that in the age of AI, more than ever, we're getting to the point that it's important for people to be authentic. So if you're a real human making real YouTube videos here in 2026, you probably are going to be okay with just naturally saying the things that you want, and practice not by learning how to get really good with a teleprompter, but instead learning how to just communicate authentically to your audience. Now that we're through that, there's a lot of reasons why a teleprompter is useful and why I am using one. So even though if you're creating YouTube videos or something like that, and they probably shouldn't all be scripted, there are certain things where you do need notes or outlines or parts of something that you need to remember that you do want to say word for word in order to get it out clearly. So in my use specifically, the places where I do use a teleprompter is like for the hook in the beginning of the videos. I want to make sure that I'm saying that the way that me and my team have planned it out, so that way I read it the right way and I don't have to spend all this time to try to memorize it so that I can look at the camera. Number two, and this is a big one, for podcasting. So for podcasting, I will have the guest's camera up on the teleprompter so I can be looking directly at them and in the video for the recording. But then over that, I have my notes and my questions that I'm planning to ask them. And so I don't have to look away to one of my other screens here in order to ask them the next question. And also I don't have to memorize it all. Okay, next we're going to talk about which teleprompter you should buy. And if this is the only reason you came to this video to find this part out, I would still encourage you to stick around and wait for the next part where I'm going to go over how to use it correctly, because it does tie together. And there's a reason that the one teleprompter that I would recommend buying also works well for how you should be using a teleprompter. As far as which teleprompter you should buy, to me, there is a clear winner, and that is the Elgato prompter. Elgato did not sponsor this video. They didn't send me anything for free. I think that this prompter is the clear choice for the modern creator because it fits the way that creators work nowadays. Before this, most teleprompters either were a huge pain to use or just not helpful at all to the way that I think most modern YouTubers, course creators, or just in general, people trying to build and grow their business online would work. The Elgato prompter provides the solution for me of making it easier for me to record. And many other teleprompters out there don't do that. You've probably seen the options where you have like the teleprompter itself, and then there's a spot to like mount an iPad so that way the mirror can show you what's on the iPad. And while those are relatively affordable, you might even say,
oh, well, I use an iPad all the time. I have a lot of notes there. I guess that's an easy solution, right?
I would argue that number one, it's actually too big, and we'll go over why that's a problem in a moment. But number two, it still is a big friction point, at least for me, in figuring out, well, how am I going to set this up? Because probably doesn't fit right behind your desk like this prompter does, where I'm just at my computer desk now. This is where I work when I'm not recording, and the prompter can just just be there. I don't have to set up something and tear it down all the time. It's not getting in the way of my screens. And the reason that the prompter can work so well like this, and the reason that it reduces this friction, is that it is a additional screen for your computer. You basically have this one USB-C cable that takes the prompter, plugs it into your computer, that provides power and the display. So you can drag any window from your computer onto the prompter to be able to see it. That might be your notes. That might be a guest on like a podcast that you're doing, or like a Zoom meeting, something like this. That might also be Elgato's own teleprompter software, which is actually pretty good and is another reason why I chose this, because there's a lot of clunky teleprompter softwares out there that you could use, but this is actually helpful to me because in addition to the prompter, I have another accessory down here, which I'll show you in a moment, is the Elgato Stream Deck pedal. And this is actually the way that I control the prompter. I just use my feet. So I'll have some notes here and I can just push my foot on one of the buttons to make the text go up or down. Now, Elgato also mentions this feature about this kind of like voice following feature where the prompter will automatically scroll based on as you're saying the words that you have in your notes. I'm pretty sure that there's some like iPad related software solutions and things like that that will do something similar. In practice, I think that all of those are kind of useless, and all of those are kind of leading you down the path of having some giant script that you're going to read off, which is probably not what most of you want to do. So in addition to it being easy because you can just put stuff up on the screen right from your computer without messing with any other setup, there's also a really big benefit of being able to have your Zoom meetings or your podcast recordings and speak with your guests right there on the prompter. And that's something that I think shouldn't be understated, because that definitely adds a lot of convenience to the whole thing. And then you have this professional look because you're able to look at the camera the whole time while still speaking to whoever is the person on the other side of that meeting. The Elgato prompter, as of the recording of this video, has now introduced a second version called the Prompter XL. And I don't think that is the right choice for most people. Depending on your setup and how far away you actually have to be from the prompter, there could be some edge cases on why that's helpful. But I think for most creators, the smaller prompter is going to be the best bet. Not only because it's cheaper, but because of what I'm going to get into about how to use these. The price of the Elgato prompter is about $280, and it has all the adapters you need to be able to set up your camera with it. I'm using a Sony a6400, and then I have that plugged into my computer, so I can use it not only as a webcam, but also just recording directly into OBS. And I would say that while Elgato's equipment is not the absolute cheapest that you can buy, it is a very good value for the price. Now, at the beginning of this video, I also mentioned that I'm going to show you how to use a teleprompter correctly. So I've got a couple tricks for you, and I'm going to show you here in Camera Hub, Elgato's software for their prompter, how I set up my teleprompter. Specifically, that is because we want to avoid making it look like we're reading from a teleprompter. And now part of that is a little bit of practice, but also a big part of that is how you actually configure the teleprompter. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give you an example of what it would look like if I was kind of using the teleprompter wrong. So what I'm about to show you right now is what it's going to look like if I have my eyes read from left to right on the entirety of the prompter screen. So if I was looking on the left, it would be like this, and then I'm looking at the right, and then going back and forth and reading through the lines that are on the screen there. You could probably tell that it looks like I'm reading back and forth rather than just looking directly at you. This is a super important point to realize, because if you had a giant teleprompter, if you buy Elgato's larger version, if you think, oh, I'm going to use the one with an iPad, or I'm going to get something bigger because Elgato's prompter seems a little bit too small for me, when you're close to the teleprompter, then the text that you're reading on it has to be more narrow, or it's going to look like your eyes are going from side to side when you're reading. So then how do we fix that? Well, I'm going to show you here in the Camera Hub software what my settings are. And what I do is I will have the horizontal margin setting set to about 75% with a font size of 27 points. Now that font size, depending on your eyesight and things like that, maybe you want to tweak that a little bit, but I think the margin should roughly be around 75% if you're using the Elgato prompter and don't want it to make it look like your eyes are darting back and forth. That width is just about bigger than the camera lens itself, and so you're not looking too far away from the camera lens. Now, there's still ways that, depending on how you're looking at it, it can take a little bit of practice to not make it look exactly like you're reading back and forth the whole time. But what I was getting at the beginning of the video is if you have a giant teleprompter and you are just clearly reading back and forth the entire time, your audience is going to have trouble engaging with that, because the point of a teleprompter is to make it look like you're looking at the camera. And so if you're not looking at the camera, then the teleprompter is actually not serving its purpose for you. Next thing to keep in mind is glare. Now, when you're using a teleprompter, it's got this kind of mirror setup so that way it can reflect the screen that is below it in front of the camera lens. If you have a very bright screen and a very white screen, that's going to reflect back into the box of the teleprompter, and it's going to affect what the camera looks like in the end. And so ideally, you don't want to make your video look worse because you're using a teleprompter, and you don't want it to be distracting where there's like this glare occasionally popping up or something like that for your viewers. Now, the best solution is you just have a black screen with text on it. But let's say you have a situation where you're trying to speak to a guest, or you're in a meeting or things like that. What you can do is in the camera hub, they have this overlay where I have the background just set to black, and then it has an opacity option that I generally leave around 54%. Now, depending on your exact uses for it, you may want to change that. But I found if I had that completely off, then let's say even just using it for like my own camera preview to see that on the screen as I talk, if I were to use it like that, and if I were to not have that black background, then there would definitely be glare coming into my video as a result. Next couple real quick tips are that there is an overlay to be able to show the very center of the screen. You kind of have a pointer that you can display so you can see where the actual center of the camera is. I think that's not super helpful, but it's nice to have. Then also have the option of controlling the prompter with Elgato's other gear. And so that's things like the Stream Deck Plus, which they offer. That's things like the Stream Deck pedal. And personally, I prefer using the Stream Deck pedal. So I'll have my notes there, and when I need, I press a button on the Stream Deck pedal, and then that scrolls the notes up or down. And I'm just controlling it manually in that sense, instead of just letting the text move on its own at a slow speed. And in time, discover what is the speed you want it to move at when you press it. But for my use, where maybe I'm reading questions to a podcast guest or something like that, I kind of just want to see the next thing that I'm going to have to say, rather than worry that I have to follow the exact speed of the teleprompter. All right, that's how I use a teleprompter, what kind of teleprompter I think you should use, and who I think should be using it. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to see other videos about the rest of my equipment setup, then check out the rest of my channel, and please remember to like and subscribe.